Pipa. Honestly, being out here with 4 dogs off leash in the woods is a huge potential risk. Not being able to call them back 100% of the time it's so necessary. It's 100% necessary because there are bears hibernating. There are porcupines still wandering around. There are potentially other people and dogs. I hope to sweet baby Jesus that I don't see any, because I just like my own peace of mind. But I need to know that I can call my dogs back. And the only way you are getting 100% recall, I mean, there's not a thing on the planet Earth that your dog won't come to you for, is through remote collar training, is through e-collar training. Now, there are, someone's gonna put it in the comments, maybe 1 in like 5,000 dogs that just have amazing recall. Parker over here, my German Shepherd that I adopted last year, had 90% recall. No prior training, probably just a big goofball, but his response to break, Parker, come, good boy. Like, that's no button, that's nothing. He's just naturally wants to respond, wants to come back, has that connection, but it's not 100%. If he saw, God, what would it be? Maybe a deer, he's got fairly high prey drive. My kids, that's his kryptonite, my kids. That if he sees my kids at a distance and he's like, I gotta get to them, and I didn't do e-collar training with him, now I can just say come, and he goes, I have to. And he wants to avoid the inevitable pressure of the e-collar. But at the beginning, it's just like a leash. It'd be like saying, I don't want to train my dog with a leash because I might hurt them. Yeah, you might. Inevitably, you're going to hurt your dog with your leash, no matter how careful you are. They run one way and as you're walking the other way. They trip on it. Like, it's not intentional. It's the same thing with an e-collar. And in some ways, it's easier to screw up with an e-collar. In some ways, it's harder because it's just a dial. So you could accidentally turn it up too high. And when you do that, if that happens, you go, hey, shit, sorry about that. And you praise your dog and you have fun with them and you move on, and they move on. They don't stay scarred because you're not repeatedly doing it. And that's what it would take to screw up your dog. And in other ways, it's harder to screw up with punishing them with an e-collar because you can use it so low. There's 100 individual levels on an e-collar, or a Dogtra would be another brand that I recommend, and there's 127 levels on that one. Who came up with 127? I would love to know that. Talk to somebody there at some point. But yeah, no matter how much long leash and food work you're doing, which you're also going to do with an e-collar when you do it properly, no matter how much of that you do, there's always going to be something better than the treat. And as soon as you take that leash off, you don't have the promise of 100%. But this can become kind of like your seatbelt. Most of the time, you don't need one. Like, hopefully, you get to the point in your driving and your ability and your awareness that you don't need an e-collar. But for example, here's Pipa. See if I can get her over there. Watch, this is non-verbal, 100% recall. Watch, I'll tap her button. And in a second here, good girl, here she comes. Now this is a dog that, one more tap, because she's like, but do I have to? That came from Costa Rica, 6 years old, and I mean crazy high prey drive. She put a porcupine up a tree here last year, and I don't know if I took a video, but I was literally like, put a leash on her, pull it on the leash, and she's just like, let me have this thing. I had food in front of her face. It didn't matter because she's like, that thing in the tree, that spiky squirrel is way more entertaining, Dad. I want to play with that thing. Versus with the e-collar, I can slowly increase the pressure where she goes, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And the little frigger, a couple years prior to that, she actually got to a porcupine, and this was the result. And then we were able to work her. Once she was all healed up and vetted, then we could go out and at dusk in certain fields, in farmers' fields, you're gonna see porcupines along the edge. We went out and intentionally worked through calling her away from a porcupine before she got to it. You use a leash and you use enough pressure that the dog goes, I must come no matter what. And then in the future, you can literally set up a situation like you might do with a rattlesnake to go, hey, anytime you smell that smell, stay away from it because it will make you uncomfortable. Just like that you feel the heat over the wood stove or the stovetop before you touch the thing because you got at some point burnt, you went, oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that sensation. So it's lessons. You can teach lessons to get your dogs to avoid things, but ultimately enjoy life. Like, look at these two knuckleheads. They're having the best time ever. It is freezing outside right now, and there's no way that I want to be walking up and down my sidewalk. If you want to learn more about e-collar training, or maybe you already have an e-collar tech collar and you want to start conditioning them, watch this video right here. And if you're still nervous about, is an e-collar going to screw up my dog and the relationship that I've worked so hard with them, just check out this video right here. Reach out if you have questions, and as always, know that you're loved. Bye, meow.